You're listening to the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox Podcast, the podcast that keeps your practice sharp and your clients happy. I'm your host, immigration lawyer John Khosravi, and every week we're bringing you insights, tips, and real-world conversations with top immigration attorneys and industry leaders. Whether you're here to grow your practice, stay on top of the latest trends, or get inspired, you're in the right place. Ready? Let's go. Hello, fellow Toolboxers. Welcome to episode number 418 of the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox Podcast, coming to you live on LinkedIn and on Instagram for those watching live, but we'll have the recordings on our YouTube page and Facebook page. YouTube's the best. We have show notes, links to the things we discussed there, so you can find that and follow up on certain things that come up. But the live show is fun. We do it on the Mondays. Try to do it early in the morning, but sometimes can't get to it for various reasons. But thanks again for tuning in. As every week, it's hectic, crazy, a lot of stuff going on. So we try to just get some of the good news, some of the bad news, and share it with you so you're prepared and you have a voice with you along the way. If y'all wanted to participate in different ways with the toolboxes, writing articles, coming on the podcast and stuff like that, join the courses, just email me info@immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com or go to our website, immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com, and check out the community page. You can register there so we can see if you're a lawyer to join it. It's free, about courses, about the magazine, podcasts, and much more. It's going to help your practice get to the next level. So I know you're going to, enjoy it and make a lot out of it. As many have told me, but just today we got an email from a person, an attorney who took our EB1A course, and he was just like blown away. He's like, you really just kept it down to earth and wasn't like a lecture, but it was just like talking really. And I mean, you guys listen to this podcast, you know how I talk about things. So that's what we bring into our classes. It helps you become a better practitioner. And speaking of what becomes a better practitioner, e-immigration by Serenade. Real quick, I want you to take a deep breath. If you feel like you're running on fumes right now, you're not alone. Stress is practically baked into immigration law, but that doesn't mean we can't get better at handling it. On September 30th, e-immigration is hosting a free webinar just for immigration professionals. You'll walk away with 4 research-backed tools to build confidence and manage overwhelm at work. From performance psychology pro Nicolo Milinkovic, do yourself a favor and head to get.immigration.com/events to save your seat. Do it quick. Get.immigration.com/events is the website. So I want to thank them for putting on a session, as well as both sponsoring this podcast episode and sponsoring the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox magazine. The Immigration is very kind to do the last magazine and a lot of these podcast episodes. The magazine's out, issue number 10. Going to be interviewing Helen Partlow tomorrow. She does a lot of NIW stuff. Such great posts on LinkedIn. If you don't follow her already, please do. There's a lot of education knowledge you get from her trying to share that knowledge with potential clients. But as an immigration lawyer, you can learn a lot from reading her stuff. And so I'm so happy she helped talk about that essentially as the DONASAR plus standard for NIWs, how stricter it's gone and ways to get around it. So it's definitely something to listen to and watch. Podcast will be out probably earlier this week, but it's also her article. If you go to Toolbox, immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com, click on the magazine link, you'll see our historic magazine's 10 issues so far. At issue number 10, it'll be in there. You can chat you with a bunch of other articles on different areas of immigration law that can help you a lot. And before we start, just a reminder that we have our free community page for lawyers. I just got to know you're a lawyer, so I need your U.S. bar info. And we can add you there where we have a lot of free content, updates, and the like, as well as videos, CLEs, that kind of thing. And our premium courses are located there as well. But I do a wall for the sake of just having an attorney community so you speak more freely there. Having said all that, none of the information provided here is intended as individual legal guidance. Please consult with an attorney about your case, but y'all know that already. So let's share our screen and get it started. I'm trying to speak slower. I've been watching other people speak on YouTube, and they speak at like half X of what I speak, and it sounds so much better and warmer. So I'm like consciously, the beginning of the show when I start, I'll speak slowly. I'm like, okay, I'm doing good. And then as soon as I'm off to the races, it's gone. But I'll try to slow down, especially because my throat's hurting. Everyone across the country is getting sick right now. And I haven't been fully sick, but my throat kind of burns. So we see if we get through this. Okay, I'm sharing my screen for those watching on the video or live. I have like a news thing here in the top right corner. Can I move it a little bit? No. Okay, it is what it is. All right, the first thing I want to talk about is good news because, it's always good when we get good news. It's the new visa bulletin chart for October 1st came out. Fiscal year is changing. And the big plus is on the visa bulletin chart that really affect me. I'll talk about those things. Is F2A was pushed up. The final action date is February 1st, 2024. So that was a noticeable improvement. But also the date of filing is September 22nd, 2025. Now, September 15th right now. So they They did the time before. It's kind of weird, but I guess this doesn't come into play until October 1st, so it would be essentially a week behind. And they're allowing date for filing. So if you got F2A cases, you're going to be filing now. You're going to be contacting people about this. They're going to contact you. You're going to be running with it, and it really opens it up for people who might be here on tourist visa stays. All of a sudden, they didn't have intent because they couldn't have intent to concurrently file, but that really opens up that possibility, or at least filing an I-130, and hopefully the I-130 moves up in time, or they're visiting here with their spouse, they could do it, and there's no intent because they have no idea that the visa bulletin was going to move forward this dramatically. So that's big news. But on the other end, the government did data filing for adjustment cases, for EB cases, employment-based cases. So we're going to see a lot of EB1, EB2, and EB3 cases filing for adjustment of status. Going to be a lot going on there. So that's a lot of good news happening. I was surprised that the Trump administration would do such a thing, but I'll take it. Don't ask questions, just take it. So I'm really happy about that. And I wanted to share it with you. Second note is coming up. Top 10 tip number 2. I guess I didn't intro. That's a top 10 episode today. But number 2 is an update on the case processing times. Now, this is a super unreliable metric, anyways. USCIS.gov when you're looking at this, but clients look at it a lot. But they updated saying USCIS processing times for certain forms. And this on their website, USCIS.gov. When you go to processing times tool, it says for certain forms may no longer reference specific service center locations. For example, they're not going to say Vermont Service Center, Texas Service Center. We are in the process of adjusting all processing times for service center related forms to now list service center operations, SCOPS, SCOPS. Service center operations has expanded its capability to process casework at multiple locations at various points in time based on business needs and staffing requirements. Therefore, listing a specific location is no longer an accurate representation of where a case is processed. We are adjusting our case processing time metrics, blah, blah, blah. So essentially, when you're looking at a location, it won't give you the field office or the service. It may give you the field office, but not the service center location, Texas stuff. Because historically, be wide variances between Texas and California and Nebraska, or all these kind of things. So they've changed that. Never was that reliable before, anyways. But we'll see how reliable this is going to be. I have like a naturalization case that was been overdue for 6 months, and even the website says it's overdue. And I contact them, they're like, "No, it's within regular processing times. It's a field office case." But what's interesting is, speaking of these visa bulletin adjusting, I had this one case that was F2A, and 2 months ago they got an interview out of nowhere, and I was like, "Why are they doing an interview right now?" Because the priority date is so backed up. It's gonna be like 2 years before it happens. Well, I guess they knew this was gonna happen. That's why they did the interview to knock it out. Now the interview happened about a month and a half ago. We still haven't gotten approval on the I-485. I-130 was approved a long time ago. The I-485 hasn't been approved. F2A spouse case. Spouse is F2 F1 student. I was just studying here and what will happen. So I guess so. It's interesting. We'll see what happens. But that is that. A third thing I want to talk about is L1B checks. There was a post I saw on one of our attorney groups where a colleague has an L1 case, L1B in particular, a specialized knowledge, where they said USCIS in China went to the factory and business where they were at to do an on-site inspection. And that blew me away because I didn't think they had authority to really do that in China, or China would accept that for U.S. Immigration authorities, federal authorities to go and do that kind of inspection. But they went there and to check to see if the situation was real. First time hearing about. Actually, I've had it happen once. I had a case. It was in the Middle East where they went to and checked, and they're like, "This business doesn't even exist." And so I'll leave it at that. But weren't that off. They weren't that off. So they got to do what they got to do. But in China, I wouldn't have expected that because of just the security aspects of it. But okay, so that's number 3. I just want to get heads up. These businesses do get checked down L1s, and rightfully so. They got to check it. I don't disagree. In that one case I had, it was justified. I mean, I was fooled by the people too. Number 4, Austin Kutcher, a friend of the show, been on the show before, posts a lot about statistics related to immigration. Let me add it to the screen. He had a post where he said that now there's 1,000 287G agreements where local law enforcement connects with federal authorities to expand immigration enforcement internally. So that's a huge number. He hit as a milestone to hit 1,000. You can always check out his Substack, AustinKutcher.substack.com, where he posts constantly about all the different things that are happening with ICE and how many people are detained and record numbers. I think 65,000 are detained right now. They're really going up, but I want to share that things are changing. And let me pause it really here before we go to number 5 as a reminder on our community page on Circle.so. If you want to join it, we have a lot of content there for U.S. lawyers new and practicing, updating on the laws, going to more specifics, the 245I, how it works, how NIV waivers work, all that. And our premium courses are there, as well as AO decisions for EB1A and NIWs, where we take an AI that breaks it down, makes it easy for you to do a search of what's going on, and a lot more. As you all go join more and more, we have about 350 members right now, but as you join more and more, the groups get to 1,000, you'll see the powerful aspects of sharing that knowledge. And it's off Facebook. One is just because you get off Facebook, but secondly, the information there is timeline based, so it's easier for you to follow up or have keywords to search and find what you want. Whereas I've seen on Facebook groups, when I read a post and a month later I'm trying to find it, it's never going to be found. But in our system, it can, and it's off Facebook's private. And so it's going to help us all become better immigration practitioners away from, the Leviathan. All right, well, who knows? But as long as you're on the internet, you're attached to the matrix. So what are you going to do? All right, so let's go to number 5. If you want to join that, go to immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com or iltbox.com. And there you can go to the community page and fill out your bar info so we can check it out. All right, tip number 5. Under the Trump administration, ICE scraps paperwork officers once had to do before immigration arrest. So this is a really obnoxious one. This is from NBC News reporting. It says for more than 15 years before they conducted any operation to arrest an immigrant in the United States, officers with the Immigration Customs Enforcement ICE and ERO division have been required to fill out a form with details about their target, name, appearance, known addresses, and employment, immigration history, criminal history, and more to give its supervisor for approval this year, in a sign of how the agency has moved from targeting enforcement to broad street sweeps. Under the Trump administration, that policy has ended. 6 current and former officials and agents of ICE and the Department of Homeland Security told NBC News. It's hard to fill out worksheets that just say meet in the Home Depot parking lot, one of the former ICE officials said. The policy shift sheds light on the way ICE is now operating ahead of anticipated immigration crackdowns in Chicago and Boston. And it helps explain the seemingly spontaneous nature of recent arrests in Los Angeles and Washington, D.C. Boston just had its AILA conference too. Both Darius Reeves, the former director of ICE's Baltimore field office, the 2 former officials of DHS under which ICE falls, said the form, known as Field Operations Worksheets, have been required for nearly every arrest the division made. The only exception, they said, were instances in which ICE was called out to assist local enforcement agencies. The exact date of this change is unclear, but it happened before the summer. Reeves, who left ICE in May, said that he was made aware of it before he left, and it was communicated down from DHS leadership. So we all know where that's coming from. The big guy, I don't want to derogatory. The guy on top, not Trump, but the other one. Okay, so tip number 6. After high-profile ICE raids, Trump reportedly wants Korean workers to stay in the U.S. So essentially, they haven't filed any charges and no paperwork related to the Hyundai workers that were accused of working with authorization. Potentially, they weren't. Charles Kirk is representing a bunch of people, 8 or so of the people there. And it's a shame. One of them, I think, has an adjustment case pending, so they're fighting it out. The rest of them left. But there are options to come on ESTA and on B2s, the B1, B2s, to come and do certain types of work in the U.S., especially if you're working for a manufacturer, bringing a product here, initial training on it. So I think they just went there and they just got a bunch of people and didn't know what they were doing, which is what's expected. But, if Hyundai is going to be doing billions of dollar investment here, maybe you should do your homework a little more. Maybe you should do your homework a little more and make an international incident of it. But you can't do that when you're running around crazed, trying to hunt witches everywhere you go. And so that's what happens when you have that kind of mentality, and you just destroy partnerships. And that's that's just the way it goes. Number 7 tip: Trump signs executive order creating state-sponsored wrongful detention designation. This is one that popped up. I just randomly saw in the news. It hasn't been talked about, but it has an immigration consequences to it. So Trump is saying, if you're a country that wrongfully detains Americans, we're going to create a bunch of problems for you, sanctions and the like. And one of the sanctions is, being added to visa, travel bans. So this was part of the language there. If someone wrongfully detains, may face several penalties, including economic sanctions, visa restrictions, foreign assistance restrictions, and the like, travel restrictions for U.S. passport holders, which hits them on the business travel and tourism travel. But visa restrictions is a serious matter. It's going to affect us, where our clients might have an H-1B. They might come in here on marriage case, and they'll be hit with the inability to get a visa to come to the United States. That's a mess of a problem. So be prepared if you're seeing in the news, say some random countries detained an American, be prepared if you have clients that from those countries not to leave because they might not be able to get a new visa to come back in. So that's an important tip right there to be mindful of. Tip number 8, and I'm very appreciative of the team at Impact Litigation. On our first cover of the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox magazine, we had the three men in charge. A lot of women got angry at that and wrote me emails, but they were doing this K1 litigation. That was very important to help a couple of my clients. So I put them, but I think Kirby at immigrations.com is taking the place of Jeff Joseph as the FBL. I'm not sure. But essentially, three law firms, Sisk and Susser in Memphis, Joseph Hall in Denver, Cuck Baxter in Atlanta, and Blessed Litigation. So the group's bigger now. They are joined and doing this litigation for K1s, particularly for Iranian K1s, because they're part of the trial ban. There's no exemption for fiancés. There is for immediate relative spouses, but they're not for K1s, and they're filing a lawsuit. I had a couple of clients waiting for this, and they just announced it and have the website in the show notes, impactlitigation.com slash. Just go to the website because there's a bunch of Iranian K1 visa litigation plaintiffs. It's like URL is long. But to impact IMM, immigration, impactlitigation.com. And I had about a couple of K1s that they're pending. They just went and got married before us. We're waiting for like a month for this litigation to be announced. But now that it's here, it's too late for my cases, but I'm sure there'll be other people that come aboard. But I think they pay like 2 grand, 2,500 or something, 2,500, and they get involved in it. Last time it worked during the COVID ban, where there was an exception for fiancés. I got a couple of clients in on that. I was really happy. That's why I put them on the cover. But it was this kind of groundbreaking work to get the attorneys to work together, because immigration typically are smaller firms and we don't have the power. But if you're able to create technical systems, which Cisco and Susser is so good at, to just kind of streamline these systems, it's magnificent what they're doing. So much appreciated. That's tip number 8. Tip number 9 is after the unfortunate assassination of Charlie Kirk. There's a lot of people, on the internet saying whoop-de-doo and happy and all that kind of stuff. This administration obviously was really pro Charlie Kirk. And so the Deputy Secretary of State, Christopher Landau, put a tweet that said, in light of yesterday's horrific assassination of a leading political figure, I want to underscore that foreigners who glorify violence and hatred are not welcome visitors to the U.S. I've been disgusted to see some on social media praising, rationalizing, or making light of the event, and have directed our consular officers to undertake appropriate action. And so people feel free to bring such comments by foreigners to my attention at state.gov. So write these people out. Oh, wow. Did somebody posted? I didn't read this part. This is a Brazilian neuroscientist working or teaching at Vanderbilt University after the unfair trial of Bolsonaro and Charlie Kirk. She stated in an article, so cancers who would have, the people are tagging, oh man, people that are like foreigners. Oh man, this is crazy. So I hate people ratting people out. This was like annoying. During COVID, they had that where like rat on your neighbor in LA. It's disgusting. It was going to lead to like, Nazi style situations when people are ratting each other out. But anyway, so people are ratting out a bunch of people for this. So tell your clients, don't talk about Israel and don't talk about Charlie Kirk, or don't make any political statement, because there's no First Amendment rights for non-citizens. And, next year, there won't be any first citizens either. And this podcast will be shut down. But until then, tell your clients, don't mention anything political. They shouldn't have that because it's what America is going through right now. And number 10, our final one, is AILA Marketplace Study, now under a new brand name called AILA Practice Pulse, is out. Thank you to the people. This is obviously a very hard thing to put together, but this really breaks down how the state of immigration practice, how much money people are making, how many hours, all this kind of stuff, to help make a better practice. Definitely worth the read. I've always found like a third of it really applies to me. The 2/3 of it don't, but even a third is worth gold. So I really appreciate it. You'll find your niche and what affects you in the contents there. It really helps you kind of organize where you are in the grand scheme of things, money wise. Does it make sense? What you're doing, how other people are doing, how much paralegals relative to attorneys people are using. That's always been a question I thought about. And they're saying it's 2 to 1, which is interesting. I thought it was good because I know firms that are doing great, and there's 15 paralegals to 1 lawyer, literally. So that always throws me. How's that possible? But it seems like that's not the norm. It's interesting. 70+% of the immigration areas are women. It's a female dominated practice area. It's it's probably unique in all the legal areas, which makes sense. But so it's very fascinating to learn that and highlight that information for yourself, because it's their proprietary information. I'm not going to go too much into detail what's in there, but I do recommend checking that out in the AILA library. So thank you so much for listening to this episode. Please, follow us on Instagram, like, subscribe, wherever you're watching this, especially if you're watching on Spotify. Leave a review or something, or whatever you can to follow us so we get higher in these Spotify rankings. We're killing it on, Apple Podcasts, but on Spotify, we're just like number 10 or something like that, or even lower. So that's surprising. But we're here to give the info while we can, and I hope this information was helpful. And that's about it. So join us on Circle.so. Email me, info@Immigration Lawyers Toolbox, about any of the stuff we talked about, magazine, courses, Circle.so community page, all that kind of stuff. But until the next one, have a good one. God bless. Be safe. Bye-bye. If you like this episode, follow us on Instagram. Our handle is Immigration Lawyers Toolbox, where we post the latest statistics, tips, and more. And stay tuned for more from the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox podcast.